The word for to do or to make is hacer. Hacer. So to do or to make. Hacer. How would you say to make paella? To make paella, what would that be? Hacer paella. Hacer paella. How would you say to do yoga? To do yoga, what would that be? Hacer yoga. Hacer yoga. So to do and to make. Hacer. The word for it is lo. L-O, lo. And how would you say to do it? Hacerlo. 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 When written down, the two words are squashed together. So hacerlo is all one word. How would you say to make it? To make it. Hacerlo again. Hacerlo, to make it. So to do it, to make it, hacerlo. To say I have just done something in Spanish. I have just done something. They use acabo de and then the thing that has just been done. So if it was I have just eaten, I have just eaten, the word for to eat is comer. So I have just eaten is acabo de comer. Acabo de comer. I have just eaten. Acabo comes from acabar, which is finish. So it's a kind of expression that's made up of the word I finish. But we translate it as I have just done something. How would you say I have just done? Just I have just done. What would that be? Acabo de hacer. Acabo de hacer. How would you say I have just made paella? What would that be? I have just made paella. Acabo de hacer paella. Acabo de hacer paella. I've just made paella. How would you say I've just done yoga? Acabo de hacer yoga. Acabo de hacer yoga. And how would you say I've just done it? I've just done it. What would that be? Acabo de hacerlo. Acabo de hacerlo. I've just done it. The word for him or her is le. L-E, le. Him or her, le. How would you say, do you think, just to make him? To make him. What do you think that would be? To make him or her? Hacerle. Hacerle. So in the same way as to make it was hacerlo, all one word, we squeezed in, we kind of stuck the it onto the end of the make, hacerlo. We do the same with him or her, le. So hacerle is to make him, her, all one word. How would you say, I've just made him paella? I've just made him paella. What would that be? Acabo de hacerle paella. Acabo de hacerle paella. I've just made him paella. And of course that would also be I've just made her paella. You would know by the context of the conversation. How would you say I've just made her a coffee? I've just made her a coffee. And a coffee is un café. So what would that be? Acabo de hacerle un café. Acabo de hacerle un café. I've just made her a coffee. And of course that's the same as I've just made him a coffee. The word for something is algo. Algo, something. How would you say I've just done something? I've just done something. What would that be? Acabo de hacer algo. Acabo de hacer algo. And see if you can understand what these two phrases would be. Acabo de hacer algo interesante. Acabo de hacer algo terrible. Again. Acabo de hacer algo interesante. Acabo de hacer algo terrible. I've just done something interesting. I've just done something terrible. Okay, how would you say, I've just made her something? I've just made her something. What would that be? Acabo de hacerle algo. Acabo de hacerle algo. I've just made her something. I've just made him something. The word for to give is dar. D-A-R. Dar. How would you say, I've just given her something? What would that be? I've just given her something. Acabo de darle algo. Acabo de darle algo. How about, I've just given him something interesting. I've just given him something interesting. What would that be? Acabo de darle algo interesante. Acabo de darle algo interesante. So, acabo de, I've just. If you want to say we've just, it's very easy because all we versions of verbs in any tense in Spanish end in mos, M-O-S, mos. So, we've just is acabamos de, and then whatever it is, the verb. So, how would you say, we've just given him something. We've just given him something. What would that be? Acabamos de darle algo. Acabamos de darle algo. We've just given him something. How about, we've just made something interesting. We've just made something interesting. What would that be? Acabamos de hacer algo interesante. Acabamos de hacer algo interesante. How about, we've just done it. We've just done it. What would that be? Acabamos de hacerlo. Acabamos de hacerlo. So, I've just, acabo de, we've just, acabamos de. If you want to say, I had just done something, I had just done something. So, further back in the past, so for example, I had just finished my meal when something happened. I had just been to the gym when I saw something. So I had just, as opposed to I have just. And for I had just, it's acababa de. And initially that sounds like it's some kind of joke. A lot of babas there. Acababa de. The reason is just because we've changed it to what's called the imperfect. The imperfect ends in aba. So, acababa de is I had just. Acababa de. So, how would you say, I had just done it? I had just done it when something happened. What would that be? I had just done it. Acababa de hacerlo. Acababa de hacerlo. How would you say, I had just given her something? I had just given her something when blah blah. Acababa de darle algo. Acababa de darle algo. I had just given her something. How about, I had just done yoga. I had just done yoga. Acababa de hacer yoga. Acababa de hacer yoga. The word for to buy is comprar. Comprar, to buy. How would you say, I had just bought it? I had just bought it. What would that be? Acababa de comprarlo. Acababa de comprarlo. So I had just bought it when it broke down. How would you say, I had just bought her something? I had just bought her something. What would that be? Acababa de comprarle algo. Acababa de comprarle algo. Let's add in there, bought her something expensive. 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 Think of an expensive car, because expensive is caro. Caro, as in C-A-R-O. Caro. So caro, expensive. So how would you say, let's change it to him. I had just bought him something expensive. What would that be? Acababa de comprarle algo caro. Acababa de comprarle algo caro. I had just bought him something expensive when he dumped me, for example. Or I just bought her something expensive when she dumped me. Okay, so acababa de, I had just done something. To say we had just, I think you know how it's going to end. It's going to end in mos. So it's going to sound even stranger in terms of the length of this. Acabábamos. Acabábamos. So acabábamos. We had just. How would you say we had just bought it? What would that be? We had just bought it. Acabábamos de comprarlo. Acabábamos de comprarlo. How about, we had just given him something expensive. We had just given him something expensive. What would that be? Acabábamos de darle algo caro. Acabábamos de darle algo caro. So we started off with I've just, acabo de. I've just done something. Acabo de hacer algo. Or I've just done it. Acabo de hacerlo. We learned that le is him or her. Acabo de hacerle. I've just made him something, algo. Acabo de hacerle algo. I've just made him or her something. We learned that we have just is acabamos de. Acabamos de. So acabamos de darle algo. We've just given him or her something. We learnt that to say I had just done something. So further in the past, I had just done something. Acababa de. Acababa de. I had just. Acababa de hacer paella. I had just made paella. We learnt that we have just done something is acabábamos. Acabábamos. So we had just bought it. Acabábamos de comprarlo.